What's going on, guys? Big VP back with another Gamecase Arcades video. On this one today, it is long overdue, but finally I'm gonna buckle down and get these videos out. This is part 1 of 3, talking about my experience, my journey, about doing total teardowns, complete rubber LED conversions, color DMDs and such on these 3 pinball machines. On this one though, we're gonna be talking about the WWF Royal Rumble from Data East. It's time to rumble. Perfect timing. Let's take a look. All right, guys, you know the drill. If you're not following me on all the socials, what are you waiting for? Be sure to follow me at Vic_VP. You would see everything, all the behind the scenes. Be sure to follow all the socials. There's a Linktree link down below. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, the shorts, the whole 30, 45-minute word vomit videos that I make. What are you waiting for? Be sure to follow. Also, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think of, again, today specifically, we're talking about the WWF Data East Royal Rumble. Let me know what you think of my whole total teardown, conversion, upgrade, the whole 9 yards. Again, be sure to follow and watch all the videos. Look, you can see my hyper vertical. A lot of attention on hyper vertical. Love it. What are you waiting for? Follow. It's funny, I had to go back on YouTube. It's been a while. It's been a while, but it's been an amazing journey. I had to go back on YouTube to see when I first made a post on this WWF Data East Royal Rumble. And to my surprise, the first video that went out was my 5-minute credit, where I only talk for 5 minutes. I don't talk ear off like I am now. That aired May 5th. That is 6 months ago. 6 months ago is when I got this Data East. And I've been slacking on this video mainly because I wanted to make this video once it was in its permanent slot, meaning in my basement, in my battle station game room. And luckily with my buddy Dennis and Linda over at Peace, Love, and Pinball, they made it a reality by helping me bring 3 machines down to the battle station game room. I do remember, my memory is a little foggy, but I do remember a little bit of the backstory on this and, you know, the person that had it before me. I definitely remember the journey as far as doing a total teardown. I'll talk about my little experience with that. I'll talk about one specific issue I had on this machine, which was really around the upper playfield. What a nightmare. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. It was a nightmare getting that off. But, spoiler alert, I didn't even get the total upper playfield out. I couldn't totally remove it. I'll go into details on that, but it's 6 months has been a while. All in all, though, an amazing game. My first machine, you know, DMD era machine. It's a dated machine. Again, 1994, I believe, is when this game originally came out. I knew off the bat I had to do a total teardown. Again, owning Jersey Jacks and newer Sterns, LEDs and the colors, and, you know, I don't like the brown halogen faded look the old school way. I just know that when I got this machine, I already had the mindset that there needed to be a lot of work done to get this to where it is today. I'll be talking about how much I spent as far as upgrading and doing stuff. Just keep in mind, again, I did everything myself. I am a one-man show. There's a lot to it, especially for pinball and especially for a teardown. You basically need, like, room. You need room, you need space. You better have a lot of photos and notes ready, because when you start taking stuff out, it gets wild. Now, like I said in many videos before, this isn't the permanent location. So I'm unfortunately going to be always on this side of the cabinet because I'm able to move Earthshaker easily. But yeah, this isn't the permanent location. Anyway, let's talk about how I accomplished / how I achieved getting this machine. Again, this was a Facebook Marketplace find. I did not get it for free $99. I paid for it. I had to drive about 80 miles, I believe. It was in Jersey. The guy was moving. It's actually funny. He's moving like he was moving a couple of houses over, and he basically said to me like, "Hey Vic, I bought this. The kiddos enjoyed it, but then they just stopped playing it. It's been sitting in my house for several years. It was actually very funny. He didn't even know that you could take the glass off. He was like, I didn't know that was a thing. So when I heard him say that, I automatically knew, not to mention you could see by the rubbers and all that. It basically wasn't maintained. The person he did buy it from, though, they did do the NV RAM setup for the battery, so there was no corrosion, luckily. But he said he bought it like that. So I assume with that info, he wasn't the original owner. But it's definitely been in this person's house for several years. And ever since he bought it till when I picked it up, which I would say, you know, he said like 6+ years, he never cleaned it. The playfield, after me tearing it down, it was filthy, it was dirty, but nothing major, nothing insane. But yeah, the guy had it on his first floor. I did bring my Harbor Freight dolly. We basically wheeled it out. He did have one big step, but that wasn't really a big deal for the Harbor Freight dolly. We just had to go down a step. I needed hands-on. The only thing that sucked was I couldn't back my truck up totally to his back porch, but it had to go over grass, maybe a couple of feet. It wasn't that big of a deal. But all in all, got it. I got all excited. Again, it was like this, like, on its feet. He didn't tear it down. He didn't even know the back box came down. It was just a great journey, but loaded it up in the truck, bought it home, got it off the truck, kept it on its legs. And I only played like 1 or 2 games, and I said, I'm not going to play anymore. Let's get ready for this total teardown. Seeing how other people talk about teardowns and, playing with dated games, pinballs are filthy. Not to make it sound like that, but his balls were very rusty. And when I saw one come out of the trough, I was like, ooh, definitely don't want to play this with rusty balls. Might be scratching playfields and all that. But once I got it home, it was the journey now to do a teardown. A teardown is a teardown. You have to expect it will take you some time to tear down. What do I mean by tear down? You take everything off. Some parts you could leave. Some like main metals you could leave, but I took everything off. I took wire forms off. I took pop bumpers, like the caps, off. I didn't really remove like solenoids. I didn't remove scoops. From underneath, you could see if like any subways are very dirty. If they were, definitely I would probably recommend that you take off the subway from the bottom. It's really just like screws. It's just you have to mentally prepare yourself for, number one, tearing down. There's a lot of screws. Let's not sugarcoat it. You're looking at like over 100 nuts and screws and all that. And then not to mention, you definitely want to do like what I did. I took pictures in sections. So I did it basically in 4 parts. I took a picture of the bottom right, the bottom left, the upper right, the upper left. And, there's plastics. So I wanted to make sure I put the plastics in the right space. There's also ways that wire forms and how like washers keep wire forms intact. So for example, like on this slingshot, there's a plastic, then a washer, then the wire form, then another washer, and then a nut. Yeah. So I took a lot of pictures. The tearing down part is actually pretty fun. I don't go to the extent of removing flippers. In an upper playfield game like this, you do have to take off the flippers to remove the upper playfield. I'll talk about later on the dilemma I had and exactly why I couldn't totally remove this upper playfield. But as far as like steps, you do a teardown. The cool thing and the best thing when you do a teardown, though, is that you could at least start actually counting specific rubbers and specific LEDs. Rubbers, there's different sizes. Some games like this, such as all 3 games here, they do come with like rubber sizing sheets, and they do tell you how many of that rubber is in the machine. When I do talk about Roller Coaster Tycoon, though, I didn't notice it until Pinside. There was a Pinside post. I didn't notice it until after I bought a couple of rubbers. But basically, I bought a good 15 rubbers that weren't even the correct size. The manual, an actual Stern printed manual, miswrote the size. So now I have like 15 rubbers that are basically wasted, but I keep them on the side in case I ever want to do another build. But again, That's a pretty much of a big plus. Total teardown is a definite thing you want to do. You definitely want to get new rubbers. I remember taking off the older rubbers. They just disintegrated. Rubbers are like rubber bands. After a couple of years, they like dry out and they just disintegrate. So rubbers was a big thing, and definitely 100% LEDs. The LED conversion thing on this is what makes this game beautiful. Not that it wasn't beautiful before, it's just I don't like the old halogen look. I can't stand it. My 34-year-old old eyes, just I can't stand the brownish halogen. I can't. I am a big fan of cool white. Every machine I have here has been converted to a cool white LED. Some people don't like that. You do your machine how you want to do it. Total teardown time on this, I would probably give it 2 days. You know, it does get strenuous on your wrists. And then by the time you take pictures and you make notes, it'll take you about 1.5 to 2 days to just totally tear down. Now, once I got everything torn down, I mean, I usually work from my way down up. It came time for the upper playfield. What a pain in the ass. Upper playfields, now I know for if I want to look at newer games, such as like JJP's GNR, I've read that taking off that upper playfield is a nightmare. This was a nightmare. You need like extension rods and stuff for your screwdrivers. It was quite a nightmare. Why did I want to remove the upper playfield? 2 reasons. For you to get to the LEDs here, which I'll shoot some B-roll, for you to get to the LEDs here, you have to remove the upper playfield. The LEDs on this, or I should say the lighting, it's like a board. So you have to unscrew it. There's a little black screw kind of light bulb thing. I forgot the exact number, 444 bulb. And you got to swap them. So the only way to access that, you do have to take out the upper playfield. But the real main objective for me removing this upper playfield, I wanted to make sure I deep cleaned the hell out of the playfield. I wanted it spotless, clean. I took out everything. And right where this upper playfield is, there's basically an orbit here. And upon discovering when I was able to take out part of the upper playfield, it was filthy. What blocked me from totally being able to remove the upper playfield was either my left or right upper flipper. Again, if you know a flipper, it's a long shaft. It goes to this whole solenoid flipper assembly. One of these shafts, the screw to take out the shaft that's held in by the assembly, screw is stripped and it is like rusted shut. I tried everything. I even took a flame underneath, being careful, because again, it's wood. I took a flame to try to like loosen up this screw. Nothing. I could not get this flipper out. Basically, I got everything out but that flipper. What was able to happen was I was able to turn the upper playfield a little bit. With me being able to turn it a little bit, I was able to get into that orbit and clean it. My only big fear, if something happens to that flipper now, to remove it, we're probably looking at taking saws or grinders to the flipper assembly, the shaft on that. That was really the only headache, and I'm talking a day just to try to get this, and I couldn't do it. It took me a long day, a tiring day to get the upper playfield out. But all in all, it was great. It was well worth it. You definitely want to do it. I'm at the extent of I already took everything out. I'm not going to let a flipper block me, but I was able to at least maneuver it. It wasn't totally removed, but I got all the gunk and all the buildup that was hidden in that orbit. Now, as far as total teardown and as far as playfield wise, I did wax and I did clean this 3 times. As far as the cleaning, basic cleaning before I waxed, I did use Novus. I only used Novus 1. I didn't have, the playfield honestly is beautiful. I love the playfield on this. This is like immaculate. There's no scratches on it. Unlike my Earthshaker, there's like a divot, there's a groove. There's nothing wrong with this playfield. It is beautiful. With that though, I did Novus 1 and I did use a magic eraser. Yes, I know we have to be very careful with the magic eraser, yada, yada, yada. All in all though, it came out. It was like a night and day difference. It went from, I couldn't even see the WWF logo. And then after I just cleaned it 1 time with the magic eraser, I was like, oh wow, the whole playfield's gonna look gorgeous after I deep clean it. But basically, Spent 2 days, Novus 1 and cleaning with the Magic Eraser. Then it went into waxing. I forgot what wax I bought. I bought it on Amazon. I think Carrie Hardy did a video. It's like a blue wax. Waxed the playfield, gave it like an hour to dry, and then I did have to go over it with a microfiber cloth and clean off like the dust residue. And then I waxed it again. Did the same thing, and I waxed it one more time. Once I waxed it and keep in mind, this is now like a 3-day process. Not 3 days, maybe 2 days. It was like I would wax the playfield, and then I went into changing out LEDs. Once I did a little bit of a section of LEDs, I went back and I waxed the playfield again, and then I continued it on. All in all, though, I would say the whole total conversion, I mean, from the teardown to where, you know, playfield-wise, let's not talk about the back box yet. I don't know, maybe about like a week and a half, tops. You know, keep in mind that you have to wait for LEDs to come in and wait for parts to come in. But yeah, that's my little journey as far as tearing down. Honestly, it was very fun. It was very entertaining to do a teardown, but part of me was like, oh my goodness, I hope I don't forget where this screw and nut goes versus this screw and nut. That was probably the most tedious thing. I marked and labeled everything. I basically had a 6-foot table next to me, and as I removed parts, I would put like the slingshots replicating exactly where they were on this 6-foot table. So if you're gonna do that route, and like I said before earlier, you need some room to do this, just have a 6-foot table handy and yeah, map it out and put all the parts in. When I removed, like I said, the slingshots, I would put the slingshot and then I would put the nuts and the washers like in its appropriate spot. This way I knew, hey, this, you know, this right here needs 2 washers. I know where these 2 washers go. But all in all, it was a great and fun journey. You know, some people might look at this and go like, oh man, that's a lot of work. Do I want to do that? It's fun. I would advise you to tear down pinball machines and clean them. Now let's talk about the actual rubbers and the LEDs. Again, another major journey. Again, when you look at the B-roll, which I'll show you now, if you look very carefully, I did go multicolor rubbers. What does that mean? I basically, depending on where and what the section is, I wanted colored rubbers. I was looking online, you could find like rubber kits and you could find LED kits. I'll be honest, spoiler alert, don't even waste your time looking at these kits. The pricing, it's not really, you know, it's not really a price saver. If anything, it costs more to buy these kits. But these kits are like one single color and done. Again, I want to talk about the rubbers right now. Rubbers, the hardest part was to make sure that the size of the rubber, you have to compare it to the manual and the section, and you know, basically the manuals have a map out of the actual playfield. So it works out, but I mentioned before on Roller Coaster Tycoon. I just knew off the bat I wanted colored rubbers. I didn't want just black. Originally the game came with all black, and I'm like, it looks kind of death. You know, as you look at the playfield, the right side here with like Big Boss Man, I have one rubber that's blue, and then the top of it is yellow. I went yellow here because the tag lights are yellow. Then on the left side here, I have like a hint of an orange rubber where this captive ball is. It was just cool. This is where you can make your machine how you want it. As far as the left side, I do love what I did with the Undertaker section rubbers. The drop targets down, I have these clear, transparent rubbers, and then I have purple for like the slingshot here. I think it's awesome. Again, this is the Undertaker section, and this era of Undertaker is kind of, I mean, he's wearing like his dark gloves, but in the game, he's wearing like the purple gloves. So that was like the Undertaker that I first was introduced to when I was younger. That would give me nightmares. So I knew off the bat I wanted like purple. That's why this whole section for Undertaker, it's got like this bluish purple, even talking about the LEDs later on. Then on the top here, where Yokozuna is, I have the red and black combo. It looks like Yokozuna. I just want to do Yokozuna colors. And then over here, where the pops are, there's this blue. It's a sea of blue here, so I just put blue rubbers. It's cool. This is where you can make your game how you want it. As far as the top upper play field, I just went red and white with everything. So you could see I have the white rubber bases down here, and then the red kind of slingshot longer rubber. It's just white and red. I felt like it was like the top rope or like the ropes of the wrestling ring. But all in all, yeah, solid stuff. Now, as I did all those coats of wax during that period, I also waxed the wire forms. I actually took this metal like cleaner. I have it upstairs. Very awesome stuff. So again, wire forms, as I waxed playfields, I was also polishing. That's the word. I was polishing all of the metal wire forms. So they look awesome. Did the same thing in the middle here for this middle ramp. While I had everything torn down, now we're talking about quickly the plastic ramp here. I actually flame polished that. Yes, a little sketchy, a little scary, can't lie to you. But I basically took off the micro switch here. I had this plastic wire form, or I should say plastic ramp in my hands. And I asked my neighbor if he had one of those flame butane torches that you get at Home Depot. And he did. And as I researched how to flame polish, fairly easy. Just gotta kind of like slowly, like this was the ramp. I mean, I was wearing gloves, but it's kind of like you just kind of get closer. And then once you kind of see it, like the flame closely touch, you kind of back away. You don't want to melt. That's like the main thing. But yes, aside from waxing playfield, polished all the wire forms and flame polished the plastic ramp. Now talking about LEDs, man, Comet LED, also forgot to mention, rubbers came from Titan Rubber. Rubbers are, and LEDs, I don't want to say the word expensive, but I mean, they average about $1. For rubbers, it's like 75 cents to like $1.25 a rubber. LEDs could go for the same price. All in all, probably rubbers and LEDs, I probably spent, I would say, a good maybe $250. Let's call it $300 to be safe. I don't remember how many rubbers there are, but there are a lot of rubbers and there's a lot of LEDs. I mean, you're talking about well over like 100 pieces. Now, the one thing that annoyed me, and I don't want to say anything about Titan or anything about Comet, maybe it was my error. I would probably advise you to actually sit and count when you get your stuff. Again, this is just me personally. I'm not accusing the company, but it happened 3 times. Rubbers wasn't a big deal. It was the LEDs. It happened to all 3 machines. When I did Roller Coaster and Earthshaker was the same time, so I didn't have to order it. But Royal Rumble, I had to place 2 orders for LEDs and 2 orders for rubbers. It kind of stuck because LEDs for Royal Rumble, I think I was short like 2 LEDs. And I'm like, shit, did I like miscount? Or like, did I order it wrong? You know, that happened. But again, I'm gonna blame it on myself. Same thing with rubbers. Sometimes it's like you just get a bag full of rubbers, so, and they have like the measurements. But you know, whatever. Just I would probably advise you to count and just sit down and count. You know, because it's kind of again, it's not the company's fault. I would blame it on myself. You know, shipping alone is like $10. So when I had to order like 2 or 3 LEDs, that's gonna cost me like $5, $6 plus another 10 for shipping. I'm like, I would advise you probably to order a couple of extra. Again, I'm a big fan of Cool White. So like I bought the Cool Whites, frosted. Everything on this is frosted. I bought Cool Whites like in the 25 pack, so I had extras. But some parts in the playfield, such as the tag is yellow and the tag on the left is orange, I wanted it color coded, so it really sucked when I was like missing one color. And basically it kind of froze the project until you get this light. I remember specifically one was this upper playfield. You can see the belts here are orange. And I have orange LEDs because the bottom of it is orange. Like the actual like clear plastic is orange color. So if you put like a white to it, to me it doesn't look good. But yeah, I definitely had one instance where like I was missing like an orange. So I had to take an orange from like the playfield like here where the flippers are and I had to put it up there. Yeah, it just took a couple of seconds. So anything out of that part of the video, I would just advise you to, you know, keep your eyes out and order a couple extra LEDs. But in that idea, it's like, oh, should I order like double of everything? You'll be spending a lot more money that way. But yeah. Now, last thing to mention about LEDs on this, I did a couple that were pretty unique. The pop bumpers here, I did the flame flicker. Looks pretty cool. I like these. I like the flame flickers. You'll stay tuned for Roller Coaster Tycoon. I'll tell you one regret I did for the pop bumpers of Roller Coaster Tycoon. Again, you can see the inserts here. When you collect the wrestlers, there's 9 wrestlers to collect. You can see like Yokozuna I did red, and Doink is yellow, and Tatanka is blue. I basically color coded it to the wrestler. In the middle, Bret Hitman Hart, I did a pink LED, Hacksaw yellow, Lex white. On the right, Crush is pink, Big Boss Man blue, Shawn Michaels red. Pretty cool. It's funny because on Pinside, people call it like rainbow vomit. I could see how people won't like it, but the insert, like the plastic's already painted that color, or it is that color, so you might as well do it. Now, the best part that I love about my playfield as far as color LEDs, I love the Undertaker section that I did. Looks awesome with this like violet purple. It goes great with the purple rubbers. And I did these ice blue for the rear where the drop targets are. It just gives you that illusion of like, I don't know how to explain it. It just, when I look at it, it's Undertaker. Especially with those purples. It looks awesome. So that's probably the best eye-catching part is the Undertaker section here. So that's your basics about the teardown process. Let's talk about the Backbox now. Again, if you haven't seen the videos on it, this is a new Translite from Retro Refurbs. This is version 2. Really cool. I mean, again, I guess somebody got a hold of the video or they did see the post they did on Pinside. Very grateful. Again, Retro Refurbs, the original one they sent me, just like some other people noted, it looked like, you know, it looked oversaturated. The initial email I did send them, they basically said that, you know, the original is like faded and that's not how it was. And then a couple of weeks after, they reached out to me and said, hey, we're going to send you another one because we got a new printing process going. All in all, Retro Refurbs, the new version, this Translite is everything. When you see this, you know it's Royal Rumble. Now, Royal Rumble, they have like another alternative Translite. I'm not a fan of it. I'm going to open this up, though, because we're talking about color LEDs a little bit still. Yeah, everything as far as the door here is cool white. Like I mentioned before, I'm a big fan of cool white. This section alone is like 30 cool whites and then like another 15 cool white flashers. I was contemplating on doing color-coded flashers, but I was like, no, let me not do that because, you know, color kind of bleeds. But just to kind of show you what the, yeah, like the camera's so bright now. But yeah, this section alone right here is like 50 to 60 bulbs alone. So yeah, when you do start placing your order for bulbs, yes. Oh man, what a journey. Now, real quick, I do have to mention it. This is what the icing on the cake is for this machine. It is that Pin 2 DMD. Oh man, this right here, it was a must. When I first originally picked up the machine, it did have the orange DMD, but it had a flickering issue. So off the bat, even before I picked up the machine, I knew a color DMD was going to be replaced. Then I looked at the price of color DMD and I'm like, whoa, this is expensive. And I went ahead and got the Pin 2 DMD from Retro City. Awesome. I cannot recommend this enough. I love the Pin 2 DMD. I love it so much that I got it also for the Roller Coaster Tycoon. Now, Andrew over at Retro City, awesome dude. The original video that I posted for this, somebody made a comment in the comment section about he wasn't able to see the diagnostics menu. I had that same issue. I'm going to talk about later on a couple of like the flaws or issues I had with this machine. One of them, I didn't need to go into diagnostics. So when I had Pin 2 DMD installed, I actually had to put back the orange DMD just to go through like the tests. So Andrew over at Retro City, I guess he saw the video and maybe got wind of the comment. He reached out to me and sent me a beta file. He said, hey Vic man, I have this beta file. If you could test it out, let me know if you can see the diagnostics menu. Sure enough, he sent me the file. I put it into the SD card that's on the Pin 2 DMD, and voila, we now have diagnostics. So it's pretty cool. In Andrew's defense, or in his situation, he obviously doesn't have every machine. So he did mention to me, he's like, hey Vic, I don't own a Royal Rumble, but if you could like test this out for me, that'd be awesome. And if you could also see a couple of things or give me some pointers or some advice, I was like, that's awesome. I mean, I don't know if you saw the subscriber count. It was just cool to see that a video that I made, Andrew over at Retro City saw it, got wind of it, and then sent me a beta. Now, I don't know if the beta file is live, so I can't really answer that. I could always find out from Andrew. If you guys want to find out, let me know in the comment section down below. But that was awesome. The beta then went to an extra step. I told Andrew, like, yeah, dude, the diagnostics there. So he goes, oh, he's doing some more colorization. He gave me another beta file that added colorizing to like in the ring mode. All in all, it was just very cool. It's not 100%, but it's honestly great. It's great for what it is. Again, I'll figure out if he uploaded the diagnostics menu, but all in all, an amazing experience when it comes to Retro City and Pin2 DMD. That right there. If I had to pick, like, what do you do first, Vic? Like, which one would you do first? I would probably do this first. Plus color LEDs and rubbers. Yes, that was awesome. So Pin2 DMD, thumbs up. I love it so much. I went and got it for Roller Coaster Tycoon. All right, I feel like I went over the basics, such as like what I did for the teardown, the rubbers, the LEDs. We're talking about the translite. We talk about Pin2 DMD. That is the total teardown there. Now, as far as some issues I had with this machine, when I originally got it, I had no issues. I went one day to go to the garage and to play it, and I turned and flipped the switch on, and sure enough, half of my play field was lit up. This now like got me so crazy, and I was like, what did I do? Like, how? And what was very funny was that this was after I did like all the conversions. So I'm there and I'm like, oh man, like, did I install something that now like I messed up something? It went down a whole big rabbit hole. Again, I only had power, just lights, to the bottom playfield. That was it. I couldn't even get the DMD on. The game wouldn't even turn on. And now I'm like, I just went and I did this whole process and I broke my Royal Rumble. I was very sad for a couple of days. But luckily on Pinside, there is a Royal Rumble owners thread. Basically, had to grab multimeters, had to get ready to solder, as I had a tip 32 or a tip 38 on the motherboard. Motherboard or a board, there's like 4 boards back here. Basically, was able to diagnose a couple of things, and sure enough, it came back to life. So again, keep in mind, when I was doing all this, I didn't have Roller Coaster Tycoon, I didn't have Earthshaker. I didn't know anything about multimetering and seeing what works and diodes, and it was a realm that I wasn't familiar with, but I was expecting it. If you are gonna do something like this, especially with a pinball machine, you don't need to be a professional solderer. You don't need to know like electrical engineering, but it's sometimes a good idea to get a couple of tools, such as a simple multimeter. I bought one like 20 bucks on Amazon and it worked. I was able to pinpoint the exact tip 32 little chip issue, quickly unsoldered it. I bought an unsoldering iron, a desoldering iron, I should say. Desoldered it, soldered a new one, and then I remember just me flipping the switch and I'm like, I pray to God that this works. And it booted. Another reason I mentioned this tip 32, I got it to boot, but then my plunger launcher, it was stuck on. And if you know, and if you kind of, realize with pinball, with a coil stuck on, it will burn. it will cause some damage. So I remember that coil was on, and I was just excited that the game was on and booted, and then all of a sudden I could smell burning. I'm like, what is that? And then I quickly unplugged it, and then I discovered the launcher was always on. Basically, with this machine here, I didn't have to buy any new boards. I just had to do some tip 32 kind of transistors swaps. After that, knock on wood, no issues. The only small minor issue I have right now is on the main like power supply board in the back box. It's got fuses. And I have like fuse holders, these little clips that hold your fuse in. The machine is so old and dated, the fuse holders, I have to swap them out. I have to basically desolder and then resolder fuse holders. So, for example, when we brought this down to the basement and after Dennis left, I powered on and I couldn't get my trough to launch the ball into the lane. then I'm like, oh man, what did I do now? But then I discovered that one of my fuses came out. And that was because of a fuse holder. It just was, I soldered it. I soldered the fuse holder. Basically, the actual like clip broke off, one end of the clip. I resoldered it and it was good, but then it kind of slowly comes off again. So that's probably the only one thing I have to do for Royal Rumble. One thing that's very cool about this is a 6-ball game. And at the time, definitely had to get rid of the actual balls it had because it was rusty. Even swapping out the captive ball. The Godfather, Jersey Jack's original pinballs that I did not put in Godfather because I had the ball barons. Yeah, Godfather's balls are in Royal Rumble plus one Toy Story 4 ball for that captive ball. Pretty cool, right? Like little like Easter egg, little thing to know. All in all though, Royal Rumble, awesome stuff. The last little customization thing that I did make these custom apron cards. I'll do some B-roll real quick. Pretty cool. In the manual for Royal Rumble, it's a 3 or 2 page like instruction guide on the shots. And I was like, you know what? I could probably make a cool apron card because it was bare. When I got this, there was no card. Usually it's like $1 for a play, you know, three plays for $2. It had no cards at all. So I took the time. These are pretty cool. It's a Walgreens. A Walgreens magnet. That was it. I made the file. I did actually post the actual artwork file. I posted it on Pinside in the Royal Rumble group. Plus, there's a specific thread for custom apron cards. So if you want these apron cards, I did post it. It's pretty cool because there's like modes and like, what do you do in this mode? Obviously, nobody's going to read it. It's kind of a lot of words. But basically the way I made this apron card, I actually just, I took a screenshot of the manual and then I actually just moved the sections around. It is a lot of words. Like somebody's going to look at this and be like, what the hell? But it's better than nothing at all. So that was the last little custom thing as far as an add-on. And then the last add-on I have to mention definitely was from Retro Refurbs. They did send me the inner art blades for free when they sent me the version 2 Translite. I was surprised. I was shocked. Awesome. The only big thing I would definitely suggest, I did nick my side blades because when you raise the play field, make sure your machine is leveled before you do that. I unfortunately didn't have my machine leveled, so it did kind of tear a little bit. But it's not awful, and it's not their fault. It's my fault. But that is honestly a very nice touch. Now I'm looking at a Roller Coaster Tycoon inner art blade, and I'm looking at Earthshaker. Jersey Jack's Godfather came stock, and it does come with plastic protectors. Inner art blades are beautiful, especially on that machine. Now I have to get it for all my machines. So thank you, Retro Refurbs. You've caused another addiction. Now the last final 2 mods I did, this is a personal preference. I turned off all the lights and stuff. First thing I did do the addressable LEDs. So I'll just put on Royal Rumble's addressable LEDs. Very simple, like $15 mod. All I do is I actually drill a hole, and I did this to Toy Story. I did it to all other machines. I drill a hole right in the middle. I do have to do a custom soldering job. Again, these come from Amazon. It's 15 bucks. It's app controlled and all. You could even set specific colors and sequences. Again, this is addressable LEDs, not your standard RGB regular LEDs. But all in all, it's pretty cool. I could set it up. I could do magic forward. I could do chases. I could do yellow. LEDs is a thing that I like. Yeah, you could kind of see it. It's got a slow fade to it. These specific ones, like you could even do like effects. It could do like, chasing effects. It's all in all awesome stuff. So again, addressable LEDs, your poor man LED mod, no joke, it's like 15 to 20 bucks on Amazon. And the last thing I did do is the custom headphone jack for when I stream. I have that underneath the cabinet, basically with alligator clips. I'm actually planning to like, I don't want to say the word mass produce, but I am planning to make something where like, if you want to add headphone jacks for streaming, it's just alligator clips. I get it from Amazon. You get alligator clamps and your 3.5 millimeter headphone female. That's it. So that's pretty cool. I have that underneath. So when I do plan to stream Royal Rumble, I could put direct audio into the feed. That's it. That's everything. So again, total teardown, Royal Rumble with addressable LEDs and the headphone jack, Comet LEDs, Titan rubbers, even did the LED trough light or whatever you want to call it over here with the Comet. Love it. It is like this right here. It's a beautiful machine. It's my first machine that I had to totally tear down. It's my first like DMD era machine. Love it. All right, now final thoughts, final remarks for the WWF Data East Royal Rumble. I'll probably do this for each game. This part right here, I technically have owned this machine for 6 months. It's been in my battle station though for about a month now, but I've always played it. It's been in the garage and I've been playing it. Amazing game. Number one off the bat, keep in mind this machine specifically is a wide body pin. I have standard bodies, and then this is the only wide body pin I have / owned. Honestly, I would call it Royal Rumble. It's got to be bolted. Bolted meaning this machine right here, it would not leave my collection. It would probably be my only wide body pinball machine. It would definitely most likely be my only Data East. And the theme is awesome. I mean, wrestling wise, this is a little bit dated, meaning before I got into wrestling. You know, Tatanka and Crush are really the only two wrestlers I don't really recognize. But like everybody here, even if you're not a wrestling fan, you could identify at least 4 of the 6 wrestlers on this. It's just iconic. The call outs on this, the gameplay alone on this machine, I love it. My brother last week, it's very funny because we always try to go for a grand champion in GC. My brother was playing this for an hour and it was time to eat. Like it was dinner time. And he would go like, let me just do one more game. And then he would drain and he'd be really mad. He's like, oh, let me just do one more game. And it literally went for like another 45 minutes. We were late for dinner. But this game right here, it's an amazing game. I love it. Again, like I said, the call outs are awesome. Sound is great. Somebody did say you could do like a pin sound mod. Because somebody doesn't like the 8, I don't hear it, 8-bit or 16-bit audio. Like the wrestlers, that's what's just cool about this. You collect a wrestler or you get a wrestler, and like their theme song is playing. The worst one is Yokozuna. You know, respect and RIP to Yokozuna, but his intro music, when you get him, it's like, Jesus Christ, I need a different, like collect another wrestler ASAP, because his music is just daunting, but awesome. I love the tag. This is the only machine I have that's not like an actual plunger. You gotta hit the tag. Make the tag. I thought it was hit the tag. It's apparently people are like, if he's saying make the tag. I'm like, all right. Either way, make the tag. It's a lot of fun. The ramps, the upper play field, you could be up there for quite a while. You could cradle up on there. Again, I'm considering this bolted. Seeing research people talking about other Data East pinball machines, they basically play the same. They're just kind of reskins. I don't really see that because you got like Tales from the Crypt, which I heard is another Data East game that's amazing. Definitely though, with my experience, me going in and multimetering stuff, I'm pretty confident that I could diagnose any issue, or if I come across a Data East that isn't working, I'm pretty confident in myself that I could figure out and bring it back to life. Not to sound cocky, but I feel like that. Again, this machine right here, I would consider this bolted. As I toured Jersey Jack's facility when they invited us, me, and other media people for Content Media Day, the question was asked, are you planning ever to make any more wide body pins? And they kind of gave this look of like, no. Almost like as if it costs more to make a wide body pin than it changes like the glass and all that. Again, I believe Pirates was a wide body pin from Jersey Jack. I don't know about Stern, but Once I heard them say that, I'm like, oh, I don't want to get rid of my wide body pin now. Again, Royal Rumble considered bolted. Now it's also pretty funny because I just looked at it. I did mention when I first got this, I was planning to possibly touch up the side art paint. It's mainly black. And honestly, it's beautiful. It looks great. And as you can see, though, it's in the middle. So now like you can't see the side art. I didn't do any painting on the art. Knowing me and my OCD, I'm like, all right, it's black, right? Like if I just touch up with black, knowing my luck, it's gonna be a darker shade of black than what it is now. So I left all that stock. Again, Data East WWF Royal Rumble bolted. It is, I'm confident this would not leave my basement. This is a keeper for sure. Well guys, there you have it. My little journey / history with my WWF Data East Royal Rumble. Again, I said it many times, bolted. I do not see this thing ever leaving my basement. As far as kiddos and guests and family, so far, anybody that has come down here, I mean, it's right off the stairs. A lot of people gravitate towards this machine and Roller Coaster Tycoon. It's just awesome. Retro heads, you don't have to be a total wrestling fan. The only other wrestling pinball machine is the Stern, I think it's WrestleMania. I played it, it's a great machine, but it's got wrestlers on it like Roman Reigns. I don't know who that is. That's kind of like when I stopped watching wrestling. So it's just great. The only little things I would like to add to this machine, I'm looking for like little action figures. I don't want to just make it look bad though, but I would want to get the 9 wrestlers here. It's actually funny, you don't collect Macho Man, but he's like the main call out. So I would try to put Macho Man in this somewhere, but that's probably like the only last thing. But there you guys have it. My little story on my proudly torn down, revived. We almost lost it. I had to, shock it, bring back that tip 32, tip 38. My little journey with the Data East Royal Rumble. Gotta love it. Listen, you could hear this on loop all day.